Hey, VA Nation, Jeff Newton and Jerry Kolich here for you for National VA Loans and Stride Bank. And guys, we want to talk to you about a couple things today. We're going to number one hit a market update because the market is ever changing and always moving. And then we have some really cool situations that's happened over the last week or so with VA and some things that we've actually been able to help teach a few veterans, and I think we can teach a few more. So let's get after it. All right, we're back. Jerry, how are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing today?
Man, I tell you what, I couldn't be any better if it was a Friday, and it's getting
It's
close. So
almost Friday. It's
almost Friday.
almost Friday. But you know what, man? We're getting some decent news. Feels like, yes, there's still some uncertainty with some different things going on in the world, as we all know. But it feels like we've gotten some good news lately over the last 24 hours that I think our viewers would love to hear about.
Yeah, I think so. It's been nice to see some. I always tell everyone like, "What do you do for a living?" And some days it feels like, well, I go to work, I get kicked in the teeth, and then we go about our day. But
Right.
these last couple of days have been pretty solid.
Yeah, and I think when I talk to customers or borrowers, one of the big topics that they always want to talk about is what's going on in the market. And so this is a chart that I show a lot of our customers, Jeff. And basically, the easiest way to read this is our mortgage-backed security chart. So this is what really drives interest rates on a day-to-day. And again, easy way to read this: green is good for interest rates, red is not so good for interest rates. So each one of these things mark a day, these candlesticks, right? So if we have a green candlestick, that was a positive day. So that means that rates were probably trending downward. Red days, that means we're probably losing a little bit. So it works inversely. As you see the green going up, that means rates would be going down. So we've had a good little stretch here over the last 3 days. And I think a lot of it has been driven by the CPI report that came out yesterday and some anticipation of that report, right? So basically, the consumer price index, it's a big driver in the Fed, Jeff, as you know, love to look at these inflation readings, right? Because inflation is really what kind of drives interest rates up and down. And so yesterday we got a pretty good reading. I mean, inflation went up slightly, but not as much as they were anticipating. So the CPI year over year, they were forecasting at 2.5%, and it came in at 2.4%, which is good because it was lower than expectations. And the month over month was the same. They were expecting at 0.2, and it came in at 0.1. And then they also, as you know, Jeff, they like to look at the core inflation, right? The core reading where it kind of takes out the energy and the food, and it just looks at that core reading. And that came in lower than expected as well. 2.8 was what it came in at. 2.9 was what they're expecting for the year over year report. And then the monthly report came in, month over month came in less than anticipated as well. So it came in at 0.1, and they were thinking it would be 0.3. So I think that is why we're seeing some positive movement here these last couple days. Would you not agree?
No, I would agree, and it's I know you just threw out a lot of numbers out there, and we kind of and some of this stuff is a little confusing to just people that don't look at this every day. Of course, you can always contact us at 855-956-4040. Ask for Jerry or myself. We're happy to go through this stuff with you. But I think the crux of it and what we really need people on the market to understand is that it is positive. Things are moving in a good direction. Hopefully, we're going to see rates ease a little bit and come down. I just saw a report on Yahoo Finance. I think the average 30-year fixed rate ticked down just a touch, and it's about 6.84%.
Yeah.
Now that's of course every type of loan and all that kind of stuff, but that's kind of what we're seeing on our end, don't you think?
Yeah. And, again, this is just data, right? And our job is to give you guys data, right? I love educating people on this stuff because it's like, well, what are the interest rates today? Well, here, take a peek. And I don't think you need to be, this huge finance major or whatever to understand a simple chart like this, right? And kind of I was going back to this. So here's today, right? So this is that green. You're seeing that go up. And it's just, again, the inflation reports are really what drives what we're hoping and what they're forecasting will be a Fed rate reduction in the upcoming months, right? So I saw Fannie and Freddie are still forecasting. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, right? They're still forecasting. They believe that rates will go down, hopefully into the low sixes by the end of the year. Now it's a forecast. It's not guaranteed, but that's what we're thinking. And so when you get these positive inflation readings, um, that is going to allow the Fed to potentially move forward with what people are forecasting, right? If the inflation reading came in the opposite direction, that may, because right now I think they're forecasting 3 potential 25 basis point rate reductions by year end. And so if we got a not so favorable inflation report yesterday, you could start to see the experts say, maybe it will only be 2, maybe only 1. And so the market will react to that. And especially with some of the uncertainty in the market. So when we get some good news, we like to talk about it. Now, I was talking with a customer yesterday, and Jeff, you get this question all the time, I bet. It's like, well, should I wait for rates to come down? Folks, you can't time it. Don't try to time the real estate market. And I told them, I said, look, if rates were 3% today, you would be paying a lot more for the price of the home that you're getting. So it's, don't try to time the market. And the great thing for our veterans is they make it really, really easy for them to refinance when that opportunity comes up, right? The best out there, the VA IRRRL, the interest rate, refinance, reduction loan. I mean, throw a few more R's in there if you want it, but so that's why, especially with veterans, don't try to time the market. Right. If you are having something that's going on, maybe a life event, maybe you're moving, and Jeff, I got a customer who's dealing with this right now that we should probably talk about.
Yeah, right? definitely want to get into that because you're right. You can't time the market. But you had been telling me, we've been talking for the last couple of days about this customer you have moving, I think, from one state to another. Now, are they PCSing? Are they still in the military? Or are they just moving? Okay.
No, retired disabled vet. Thank you for your service. Yes. Amazing human being. He's so fun to talk to. But when he initially called, he was like, I have a VA loan and I was hoping to use my, my eligibility still, but I can't because I'm like, wait a minute. You can have multiple VA loans, and still, buy this new home, right? Now, Jeff, what does that affect though? Affect your eligibility. And so I actually called you on this and we were kind of discussing. And so you're able to have that VA loan and still purchase another one, but it would affect if you could borrow 100% or not, right? Because the VA loan, as we know, it's 100% financing. And so, yes, you could keep this VA loan and still purchase a new home, but he would have had to bring some money down. And that's not what he wanted to do. So we looked and we did here at National VA Loans powered by Stride Bank. We did basically a short-term bridge loan for him. And we pulled that current home out of its VA status into just a regular loan, if you will. And now what does he have back?
All of his eligibility.
Full eligibility. And he was so ecstatic. He didn't know that was something that they could do. And so that's why I was just like today, I was like, we need to broadcast this, just like scream from the mountaintops that you can have more than one VA loan. Yes, you may have to get creative. You may have to do a bridge loan or do one of these other type of things to get that current VA loan out of its status. Don't think that makes you ineligible to use your VA loan.
You're 100% right. We get this quite a little bit. We get it from a bunch of different angles at National VA. We all hear the people. I've talked to Vietnam veterans that haven't used their VA eligibility because they thought they could only use it once, which makes me so sad because I know they bought houses over the years and things like that, and they just haven't used that eligibility, and they could have. We have people that, this is a really big one. We have people that are PCSing to a new station, so a permanent change of station, and they own a home where they're at, and they're like, gosh, I'd really like to keep this thing because it'd be a great rental property. And I would love to earn some income off of it. And I'm like, amen, let's do it, baby. And he's like, well, but I don't want to put any money down on my new one. I'm like, hey, look, we'll figure that out. Let's figure it out together because, I talk about this all the time too. Over the last, 6, 7, 8 years, I bet you we've helped. I mean, it's in the hundreds. I'd love to go back through and count, but in the hundreds of veterans that have been able to become property owners and earn passive income through property they own. And imagine if you'd have done that in 19 or 20 and look at the equity that's increased on your home over those years. I mean, it's just a moneymaker.
It is. And I think what that reminds me is that we want to continue to repeat this message, right? Because you may be helping one person today and another person on down the road. But it just goes to, this amazing person who still served in the Army didn't know one of his, financial strengths that he had from serving our country in the military with using and utilizing the VA loan. So long story short, we got it all worked out. We got a contract. He's actually moving into town, and so fun to text with, and he's so happy. And that's the goal. The goal is, we always say, we want to educate. I look at myself as an educator.
Yep.
Whether we got the loan or not, that wasn't my job. My job was just to let him and his family know that there's options out here. And so thanks, it was good talking with you too, because I always like to kind of brainstorm, like, hey, am I looking at this right? Different things like that. How do we want to basically put together the best plan for this veteran moving forward? So thank you for your help on that, by the way.
Dude, that's right there is what you said, is how do we put together the best plan for this veteran? And I think, that's really the reason National VA kind of came around, and we brought it to the forefront, is because that's not what most people think. They're like, all right, how can I make the most money on this deal? It's just a horrible way to think. My first sales manager always told me, he goes, look, if you keep the customer at the forefront, you'll have a long career. You'll be really happy. You'll always be able to feed your family, and everybody will be good. Yeah. And I've lived by that. And man, I tell you what, it's making a little bit of money off a lot of people is a great way to do things, because then you do keep what's best for them in the forefront. And being able to help a guy not only buy his new home, which sounds like it's going to be a nice home. Hopefully when he gets in town, we can all go grab a beer. But also be able to do it without having to wait for his home in Texas to sell, and just dude, it's awesome. And I love the collaboration part of it too, because I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know everything, but I know who to call, and I'll call until I find the right thing. And we know we're doing it the right way. So I love that.
Information's free.
Yep.
We do this every day. And one of the habits that I try to remind myself to get out of, and I almost did it with you earlier today, is we like Fannie Freddie. Like, people just know who Fannie and Freddie are, right? So we get in these situations, and we try to tell that to the loan officers as well, because there's so many acronyms in our business, the LE, the CD, all these different things. And we have to remind ourselves to slow down, to give this information to somebody that does not do this every day. I think this person had been in their home, I want to say, for almost 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how much has changed in our industry in 12 years?
Oh, my
God. They're all valid.
Yeah.
They're all valid, good questions. Our job, again, is to educate. That's it. That's our job. Our job is to educate. It's not to try to get the deal. Whether he may have decided, I'm going to sit put for a little bit. Now he had a good reason to come in town, but all being said, it's to educate. And it was just a great experience to be able to, and it just reminded me that we have to continue to get these messages out, whether it be about eligibility, cash out. I mean, how many times do we get questions about, using your number one asset, cashing it out? And I mean, we got to do another call on that, because you could probably do a cash out, whatever you want to call, podcast, video, whatever you want to call these things these days, probably once a month.
Oh yeah.
Someone's going to be like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. Well, most veterans think you can only cash out to 90%. Not true. I mean, most veterans think you can only cash out occasionally. Nope. You can cash out. I mean, heck, you can cash out your equity at any time. It's just, there's so many caveats to the VA loan. And, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really good VA people out there. Thank goodness most of them work here at National VA Loans and Stride Bank, which is nice. But, you have to seek to understand and look to find the information, because like you said, that's what our whole VA Nation channel is about, is education. I mean, there's no sales pitch. It's, hey, look, we're trying to help educate. And if you have questions, give us a call. And then if you feel comfortable and you trust who you're working with, that's a lot of the battle right there, is feeling comfortable with who you're working with and knowing that they have your best interest in mind. And I think we do a really good job of that. But like you said, there are so many different ways to VA Nation. You guys have heard me say it a million times, use your home as a financial tool. Yes, it's where you live. Yes, it's where your family lives and you're raising your family and things like that. But if you use it as a financial tool, I mean, what other investment do you have that guarantees not guarantees, but traditionally goes up 4 to 5% on an annual basis?
Yeah.
I mean,
look at it like the stock market.
Yeah.
I mean, there's years and times where you're not getting that return on your, retirement portfolio, but over time, it's a good investment. And we always say, I don't know anyone that started to create wealth that doesn't own real estate. I just don't. But and you know what we want to do? Let's do a little teaser, Jeff, because there's a program out there that veterans can get a nice credit after closing, right? If they use a certain network.
I heard about that.
Maybe someone. So should we tease a little cliffhanger? Like if someone wants some information about how they can potentially receive a pretty good bit of money
after closing on their purchase,
it's out there, isn't it?
It is out there. You know what? In fact, we need to have them on the podcast and come on here with us. I think we need to do that. But if you have questions about,
Eric and his team are awesome. I know
they're the best. Eric's
true or false? If I'm looking to purchase a VA home in the near future, I could get a substantial credit after closing. If
Alex, I'll take true for 200.
It's true.
True.
So if you're looking to buy in the near future and you want to get more information on this product that we have that could give you a nice substantial credit at closing, depending on your purchase price,
give us a call. 855-956-4040. Well, Jerry, I think we touched on a lot. I mean, the market update, it's always a good thing to do. I mean, the market changes minute by minute. Of course, we're not going to update minute by minute because
it just went up to 19, buddy.
Well, see, look, it just keeps moving. So it changes on a daily basis. That's why whenever we do talk about rate locks and things like that, it's usually time is of the essence.
Yeah.
And so it's good to stay up on that. But I'm glad we got into that situation that you ran into. And number one, I'm really glad that we were able to find a solution for our veteran. That's awesome. And, a lot of places, I just talked to someone the other day and they're like, well, I called and they told me I couldn't do a VA loan because I already had a VA loan. I'm like, what? And I looked at it, and not only could he do a VA loan, but he could still keep his VA loan that he's got and do it at 100% on his new VA loan. So not all VA specialists are built the same. Let's just put it that way.
Agree, man. Agree.
So
you're one of the best, buddy.
Well, it's because of the team we work with. We've got some of the best team around us, which makes us all so much better. I mean, yeah, we can all say we're one of the best because I know I can pick up the phone if I have a question and call you or call, our operations department, which is invaluable.
Yeah, we should have Dan on here.
Dude.
If you want to talk about dropping some knowledge on, full-on VA lapse our underwriter.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Dan, that we might have to have a 2 or 3 hour one.
What's coming? I mean, we got to get Eric, we got to get Dan. So,
and there's appraisal changes coming down the pipeline. Yeah. I've got an appraiser that wants to come in and talk about him next week. He's been an appraiser in the Kansas City area for almost 30 years now. He's also a veteran, was wounded in Afghanistan. Super good guy, but he's seen national. He's known me for a long time, but I haven't talked to him in years and years. And then he saw National VA and just kind of put the things together. And he's like, man, we need to talk about some appraisal changes that are coming up. And it's funny, and hopefully real estate agents are listening to this. Please listen. He made a comment about how, a lot of real estate agents don't like the VA appraisal and things like that. Man, I'm telling you right now, like he said, it is there for the veteran. So It is there for the veteran. It's not for the real estate agent. It's for the veteran to make sure they're getting the right house.
I just had this conversation yesterday. I had an agent in the conference room and talking specifically about this. And because of the situation that's going on, and she asked that specific question. Well, and I said, no. First and foremost, everything that we do on a VA loan is to protect the veteran. It's all good.
Yep.
So regardless, and hopefully realtors aren't, making, because they can say, oh, we're going to only take cash or convention, stuff. Please, if you're an agent out there, always make your listing VA purchase eligible. Do not worry about the appraisal situations. The VA appraisers are fantastic, but we should definitely have him on because I think that would be a good piece of information for some of these agents and borrowers to hear an actual VA appraiser talk about the appraisal process and some of the changes.
Yeah, I do too. We're going to have him on. He's a good dude, veteran. I mean, Hey, he went back. Well, I don't want to give up too much of his story because I want him to tell it, because he went back into the military after he was already 30 some odd years old. I mean,
Tease it.
yeah, he's kind of a badass. So I can't wait to have him on. He'll be great. And then, VREV with Eric and their team. And then heck, we are going to talk Dan into this. So all right. Hey, VA Nation, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, give us a call at 855-956-4040. Of course, you can ask for myself or Jerry, or any of our VA specialists will help you answer any questions you have. And if you get a chance, click this button right there, youtube.com/National VA Loans. This will let you subscribe to the channel, keep up to date with all the current information for VA home loans, and all of our awesome guests are going to be coming on. And if you're just like me and you like to get stuff done, check out nationalapplynow.com. Go on, download our simple, secure Stride Home app. It'll go right onto your phone. You'll be able to securely put in your mortgage application, and then one of our VA specialists will reach out to you directly to go over the information you put in and help get you pre-qualified for your new home purchase, or use some of that equity in your house to save yourself some money. Guys, until next time, thank you for all you do. Thank you for your service to our country. Take care of yourselves, and God bless.